All right, welcome into Studio Day Heffrey. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and why couldn't they run on the Minnesota Vikings. We did yesterday a lot of why in the world did you keep trying, which is a totally different deal, and we're over it, right? We're over that today. So today we move on, and we move on to what exactly happened. Is it fixable? We got an offensive line problem. Do we have a Zeke problem? Do we have a play calling problem? What does it come down to? And as usual, the answer is everything. Okay, what I have for you is run by run, 1st and 10, when the Cowboys called a run play, what happened? Why couldn't they run? We'll get to the bottom of it. First, run of the game. Of course, is the first play of the game because on 1st and 10, it's time to establish the run, baby. They did gain 3 yards. By the way, the end numbers on this, hold on, let me get it real quick because I just tweeted it at JC1053. Cowboy running backs on 1st and 10 carries against the Minnesota Vikings, 14 carries for 31 yards, 2.2 yards per carry. That's not good. Thankfully, you have Dak Prescott, an MVP candidate, who's carrying you. But what happened? Play by play. First play, 8-man box, 7 blockers. They blocked okay. They got 3 yards because of math. There's 8 defenders, 7 blockers. That means someone's not being blocked. Second run of the game. Numbers are against you again because Harrison Smith is run blitzing. So this will be part of the theme is that Mike Zimmer was making sure to have a defensive back who, I guess it'll depend where you look. If you're going to count it as a guy in the box, some people will say, oh, they had a 6-man box because their linebackers are 5 or 6 yards off and the DB is 1 more yard off. But they were making sure to keep an extra DB close to the box to make sure that they had the numbers, especially on first downs because they know the Cowboys like to run there. Tyron Smith got beat inside by Everson Griffin, who's awesome. That makes Zeke bounce to his left, where an unblocked Anthony Barr is waiting to tackle him. 2-yard gain. I'll actually say this about Zeke, 'cause I think a lot of people think I'm really critical of him on radio. I don't think he's one of the best backs in football. I don't think he's a special back at this point. I think he's a good running back. He's a really good runner. His vision in this game was very good. If he didn't have every bit of power that he has in his body, these numbers would probably have 10 or 12 less yards on it. He did a lot of carrying guys for a couple of yards to gain some. Third run of the game, 8-man box, 7 blockers. Kind of blocked it up. Except for the 8th guy. So they gained 4 yards because Zeke's a strong guy. 4th run, 8-man box, kind of. Harrison Smith, Viking safety, is cheating down. You got 7 blockers. Harrison Smith is the 8th defender. It's an absolute train wreck as Ezekiel Elliott has to run to an unblocked linebacker. The Vikings did a really nice job in this game with these little stunts where they would have a defensive end sort of crash inside, a defensive tackle slide behind him, which really jacks up what the Cowboys want to do because what the Cowboys want to do is double team a defensive tackle, bounce up to a linebacker, and get everybody blocked up that way. And when you've got this defensive line movement, it really throws off your ability to try to get to where you want to get to. But Ezekiel Elliott gains 4 yards because he's strong as hell. 5th run of the game, and here's where we'll find a guy who we can say it was your fault, and it's unfortunate. I don't like to blame individuals. I like to just live a happy life of sporting. The 5th run, Lyle Collins can't reach the 3 technique, so the Cowboys will ask their tackles on a lot of plays because they zone block. The right tackle, I'm Lyle Collins. I'm looking straight ahead. The 3 technique is lined up over Zach Martin over here. We're running left. I have to block that guy. It's a big ask. Because I'm a big old dude, big old strong dude. Me and Lyle are big strong dudes. And I've got to get to a guy who's to my left by a yard, maybe more. And I got to cut him off from getting involved in the run play. Lyle Collins could not do it. But guess what? Zeke did get 4 yards. It was a 6-man box against 6 blockers. Zeke got 4 yards. Why? Because he's a big, strong guy. 6th run play of the game. Excuse me. Got to clear it up for you there. 6th run of the game. Cobb and Cooper are right next to Jason Witten. Jason Witten's lined up as a wing. You got 2 wide receivers right next to him. The line does their job. But the line doing their job led to Ezekiel Elliott having to run right up behind Randall Cobb, and Randall Cobb is blocking a DB. Randall Cobb is blocking a DB in the hole. Is that what you want? Do you want a wide receiver blocking defensive back as part of your plan in the run game inside the box? Because I don't. And it is indeed Randall Cobb's guy that tackles Ezekiel Elliott. I don't want to count on Randall Cobb to do that. I'd rather not have him there. I guess I get it that you want to bunch up a bunch of things because it can open it up for the passing game, and sometimes you can do that to get outside as a runner because you could just crack down on these DBs. But this was more of a point of attack block they were asking Randall Cobb to make, and that's just weird. Their next run on 1st and 10 was actually the end around to Tavon Austin for 7 yards, and they actually scored their first touchdown on this drive because they stopped just handing it to running backs on 1st and 10. They gave it to Tavon. They got the 7 yards there. 2nd and 3. On 2nd and 3, they hit Gallup for a touchdown because they had 2nd and short and they had options. Look at that. Good things can happen. 7th run by Ezekiel Elliott on 1st down and 10. There are 7 defenders, 6 blockers. The one that's free on this play is a linebacker, and he's not even the furthest guy away from the play. So what we have here is a miscommunication issue. It involves Connor Williams and Travis Frederick somewhere. Connor Williams is late letting go of a double team to get to Anthony Barr, and no one blocks Eric Kendricks at all. One of the best linebackers in the league. That's a bad plan. So it's either that or Connor Williams is right, and Frederick is supposed to let go and move to Eric Kendricks, who's unblocked, and that's very possible as well. But they lost 2 yards. There's a miscommunication somewhere. There's 7 defenders against 6 blockers. That's not good. So Connor Williams or Travis Frederick made a mistake there, and that hurt you. Run number 8. They blocked well. They're in a really tight formation. Zeke had to make multiple cuts to make this work because there's just a flurry of bodies. There's so many people in the box. He ends up gaining 6 yards. Eric Kendricks beats the double team because of how good he is. His reactions, his speed, his athleticism, he was a problem. But you actually gained 6 yards on that one because Ezekiel Elliott fell forward. Run number 9, 2-yard gain. Travis Frederick never got off the double team to get to the linebacker. He should have. This one's pretty clear. You can see a screenshot of it at JC1053 on Twitter. It just looks like Travis Frederick didn't come off of a double team to block a linebacker that he was supposed to. You had even numbers. You might have had a chance to have a really good run there. Instead, you gained 2 yards because there's a miscommunication somewhere on the offensive line. Next one is a 1st and 10 run by Tony Pollard, not Ezekiel Elliott, minus 4 yards. Here, we get a multitude of fun. Jason Witten can't cut off Danielle Hunter, so he's chasing the play. Jarwin is cracking on Everson Griffin to try to push him inside. Griffin holds his ground, which means Travis Frederick, who is working this way, blocking a defensive tackle, runs into Jarwin and Griffin. Defensive tackle slides right around all that traffic. So now you got Hunter chasing Pollard. You got a defensive tackle free right in front of him, coming to get him. And Tyron, who's pulling out to the left, gets beat by a defensive back who's coming downhill, gets outside of Tyron and around him. And so Tony Pollard has a guy chasing him, a guy looking at him, and a guy looking at him. So he loses 4 yards. There's literally nothing he could have done. Run number 11, 1-yard gain, 6-man box, 5 blockers. They all occupy their blocks, but Everson Griffin is the backside unblocked guy. He can move pretty well. Zeke can't go up the middle. He can't cut back because Everson Griffin is in hot pursuit. Each defender does a good job controlling their blockers, and Zeke just rams into one. On this play, maybe Zeke could have made something happen. He's running towards 3 offensive linemen, each one occupying a blocker. All the linemen are doing a good job of not being bullied, so it's pretty much a stalemate between all of them. He can't go outside because he's got action there. He's being chased, so he opts to just cut up and run into one of them. It's the guy that Zach Martin's blocking, and he gains a yard. Run number 12, zone read, and I don't like this play design. So when they run the zone read, I can't really stand up. There's not room in here. When they run the zone read, their unblocked guy, I'm Dak Prescott. I know we look very much alike. We're both statuesque and beautiful men. He's faking the ball or handing the ball to Ezekiel Elliott. And as he's doing this, Zeke is running a dive. He's running straight ahead. So you have Zeke running ahead. And if this defender who we're not going to block over here comes down for Zeke, Dak can pull it and run. The defender we're reading is Danielle Hunter. Very good player, very athletic. He's sliding in slowly so that he can get there for a handoff, but he's in position if Dak pulls it. If we run the zone read and Zeke is coming across, Well, then Danielle Hunter would have to bust his ass to try to chase down Ezekiel Elliott. But if we're giving it to him on a dive and our alternative is an outside to the right, he can split the difference and he can play them both. And Danielle Hunter does that. He splits it. And so Zeke goes straight ahead and carries Danielle Hunter and actually gains 5 yards. Run number 13 for no gain. Frederick and Martin are responsible for a defensive tackle and then Eric Kendricks. At the snap of the ball, Kendricks' response, his reaction time is incredible. He's lightning, and whoever's job it is to come off and get him does not do it. Tyron gets too far upfield, and Everson Griffin gets around him too. Closes down, helps make the tackle. You gain 0 yards and run number 14. Connor Williams got whipped by number 91. He makes the tackle for a 4-yard gain. I guess I could have just done a summary. Like, okay, so what does it mean? What it means is the Vikings get credit. Eric Kendricks is one of the best linebackers in football. Everson Griffin is one of the best defensive ends in football. Danielle Hunter is one of the best defensive ends in football. Anthony Barr is a good player. And the rest of that defensive line did a really nice job of not getting dominated at the line of scrimmage. What does it tell us about the Cowboys' offensive line? That they had a bad day. There were miscommunications that they bank on there not being. The way that they run the ball banks on no miscommunications. It banks on everybody being on the same page. And I think it's a combination of Mike Zimmer did a nice job of having moving parts on that D-line that made it hard to stay in sync with your zone blocking. Eric Kendricks made it tough because he's just too athletic. And then individually, Tyron got beat more than Tyron Smith can be getting beaten. Travis Frederick had too many miscommunications for the guy who's in charge. Connor Williams got beat a couple of times. Lyle Collins couldn't make a reach block. It's not the end of the world. It's not, they can't run block. They can run block. Everything's going to be okay. And I would also say that I thought Zeke played well. Everybody thinks I'm a Zeke hater. Zeke played well. I hate that they put him and Pollard into positions that were going to be tough to gain yards, but Zeke did a good job of maximizing it. I wish he could have broke something somewhere, some sort of individual effort to make a great play, but he made the most of the opportunities that he had, and the offensive line and the Minnesota defensive line and linebackers just didn't give him a great chance to run. So I'm sorry that this video is not fire and brimstone and fire everybody talk. It's just an explanation of what happened play by play and why the Cowboys couldn't run on the Vikings. Appreciate you all swinging by. Today in the comments, I would like you to leave your favorite uniform. Your favorite uniform. Which one looks the best? It could be college football. It could be NFL. It could be MLB. Which uniform looks the best? I liked Florida State in the 90s. Who do I like in baseball? Nobody. I like Oregon State's uniforms. The Beavs, that's a good-looking uniform. But whatever, just leave those in the comments. Have a great day, and make sure you're listening to the G-Bag Nation. I'm outie.